You're standing in front of the mirror and you can't find one single thing you like. You turn to the side, you pull at your stomach, you look at your arms and wish they looked different. You look at your thighs and you already know you're not wearing those shorts today, even though you bought them 3 weeks ago and they're still sitting in your closet with the tag on. Maybe it's a bikini. You bought it for a trip you were excited about, and now it's sitting in a drawer, and every single time you think about putting it on, you talk yourself out of it. You tell yourself you'll wear it when you lose a few pounds, when your stomach looks different, when you feel ready. But here's the truth. You've been saying that for years. Maybe you're also the one who stands in the back of every group photo, the one who asks someone to delete that picture before anyone else can see it, the one who looks at herself in a photo before she looks at anyone else in it, just to check if it's safe to let other people see. This isn't about being vain or dramatic. This is something real that's happening in your brain, and once you understand it, it's going to make a lot more sense why you feel this way every single time you look in that mirror. Psychology has actually studied this a lot, and what they found is that the mirror is not as honest as you think it is. You assume your eyes are just showing you exactly what's there, plain and simple, no opinion attached. But that's not actually what happens. Your brain takes what your eyes see and mixes in your mood, your memory, and what you looked at 5 minutes before you walked into that bathroom. Then it hands you a picture and tells you that's just how you look. So when you feel 100% sure that your body looks bad, you're not lying to yourself. You're seeing something. It's just not the full picture. And a lot of the time, it's not even close. Here's a big part of why this feels so much worse today than it did for women a generation ago. Before you got dressed this morning, before you stood in front of that mirror, what were you doing on your phone? Be honest, you were probably scrolling. And what were you looking at? Probably other women, probably a lot of them. Filtered skin, perfect lighting, angles practiced over and over before that picture ever got posted. Bodies that took an hour of posing to get just one shot that looks effortless. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a real moment and a setup. It just takes in image after image and quietly decides that's what normal looks like now. So by the time you put your phone down and walk over to the mirror, your brain has already reset what it thinks a normal body should look like. And your actual body, the one that's lived a whole life, eaten real meals, had bad days, never got to choose its own lighting, suddenly looks wrong by comparison. That's not your body failing you. That's your brain comparing you to something that was never real in the first place. And this happens faster than people realize. Researchers have actually tested this. If you spend just a few minutes looking at really lean filtered bodies and then look at your own body right after, you rate yourself worse than you would have an hour earlier before you ever opened that app. Nothing about your actual body changed in those few minutes. Only what your brain was just comparing it to changed. So if you scroll for 20 minutes before getting dressed, and then you stand in front of that mirror and feel disgusted with yourself, that feeling didn't come out of nowhere. You basically primed your own brain to hate what it was about to see. And once your brain decides something is wrong, it stops looking at your whole body. It zooms in. It goes straight to your stomach, your arms, the part of your thighs that touch when you're just standing normally. A stretch mark, a scar, a little bit of cellulite. Whatever it already flagged as the problem. It skips right past everything else. Your face, your hands, the parts of you that look completely fine, none of that gets a second of attention. Your brain goes straight to the one thing it already decided was wrong, like that's the only thing in the room. That's why you can take a full body photo, and out of everything in that picture, your eyes go straight to one spot every single time, like it's the only thing the camera even caught. And that's exactly why a friend can look at you and mean it completely when she says you look good, and you stand there thinking she's just being nice. She's not being nice, she's just not running the same search you're running. She's looking at you as a whole person. You're looking at one specific part you already decided was the problem. This is also why dressing room mirrors feel like the worst place on earth. You're standing under bad lighting, trying on a bikini or a swimsuit, and your friend tries one on right next to you and looks completely comfortable. And you're standing there convinced the mirror is somehow lying about you specifically while telling her the truth. It's not. Same lighting, same mirror, same angle. Your brain is just doing the zooming and the scanning to you and not to her, because it's only running that search on your own reflection. Here's something else that's true, and you've probably noticed it without ever putting it into words. Some days you catch your reflection and you don't think anything of it. Other days, after a stressful week, after a hard conversation, after barely sleeping, you catch that exact same reflection and suddenly you hate everything you see. Maybe your boss said something that got under your skin. Maybe you and your partner had a fight. Maybe you just had one of those days where everything felt heavy. None of that has anything to do with your stomach or your arms, but somehow it all ends up landing there anyway, the second you catch your reflection in a window or a mirror. Your body didn't change in a week. Your mood did. And your mood changes how harsh you are on yourself without you even realizing it's happening. Stress and exhaustion make your brain a lot less forgiving. So some of what you're seeing in that mirror isn't really about your body at all. It's about how worn out you already were before you even looked. And once your brain locks onto something it doesn't like about your body, it holds onto it. If 10 people tell you that you look great and one person makes a rude comment, you already know which one is going to stick with you. The compliments barely register. That one comment plays in your head for years. That's not because you're insecure or too sensitive. That's just how the brain works for almost everyone. It just feels a lot more personal when it's about your own body. I actually want to ask you something because I think a lot of you are going to relate to this. Is there something sitting in your closet right now that you bought, that you actually liked, that you still haven't worn because of how you feel about your body? Tell me in the comments. I really want to know, and I think you're going to be surprised how many other women say the exact same thing. And here's the part that actually gets to me the most. It's not just that you don't like what you see, it's everything you've missed because of it. The beach trips you skipped because you didn't want to wear a bikini in front of people. The pictures you refused to be in, so there's barely any photos of you from years you'll never get back. The summer dresses you owned but never wore out of the house. The pool parties you said no to. The gym you canceled the membership to because you felt like everyone there was looking at you. The moments you spent the whole time pulling at your clothes instead of actually being there with the people you love. You've left events early because of what you were wearing. You've worn a jacket in 90-degree heat to cover your arms. You've said you're not hungry at dinner with friends because you didn't want anyone watching you eat. That's real time. That's not something you get to do over. So let's talk about what actually helps here, because you don't have to keep living like this. First, pay attention to what you're looking at right before you get dressed, or check the mirror. If you just spent 20 minutes scrolling through filtered photos of other women, that is the worst possible moment to judge your own body, because your brain just compared you to something that isn't even real. Try putting your phone down for a few minutes before you get dressed and see if that actually changes anything. Second, notice how often you're checking. The more you check the mirror, turn sideways, pull at your clothes, the stronger that habit gets. Cutting down on how much you check, even a little, helps that part of your brain calm down instead of staying on alert all day. Third, when you catch yourself zooming in on one body part, try to pull back and look at the whole picture instead. Not to force yourself to love it, just to remind your brain that you're a whole person, not one isolated spot it decided to obsess over. Fourth, be careful who you're following and comparing yourself to. You don't have to delete everything, but notice which accounts make you feel worse every time you open them, and start unfollowing those. Your feed should not be making you feel like your real, lived-in body is something to be ashamed of. Fifth, when you catch that voice telling you something is wrong with your body, ask yourself if you'd ever say that same sentence out loud to a friend you love. If the answer is no, that's worth noticing. That sentence didn't earn the right to be true just because it showed up in your own head. None of this is going to fix everything overnight. But every time you catch what's actually happening, instead of just believing it, you're giving your brain a little less power over how your day goes. I'm not going to tell you that you'll wake up tomorrow loving everything you see in that mirror. That's not realistic, and I don't want to give you a promise that isn't true. But you don't have to wait until your body changes to wear the bikini, take the picture, or show up to the beach. You're allowed to do those things now, with the body you actually have today. If this is something you needed to hear, I talk about this kind of thing a lot here, the real reasons behind how women feel about themselves and their bodies. If you want more of this, stick around. I'll be here.